My name is Eliza Laura Farrell. All the people in Truckee called me Graham. However, my husband called me Lida, which I much prefer. I grew up in Weston, Oregon in 1877. At that time, there was not much transportation. I just really think of the idea of having to ride in buckboards and covered wagon types of things to get around. My mother was my father's second wife. I had two brothers. In childbirth, my mother died. Because my father had his work involved not staying in the area, he had all these children scattered around, and so the neighbors took them. Mr. and Mrs. Allen took me. They eventually adopted me. I didn't go to high school, as was quite common. I actually went through 8th grade, literally to go to school. My father gave me a horse, which I could ride. He later fixed up a little buggy, so I had a horse and buggy to ride. I met Edward Patrick Farrell. He was a mining engineer. My father and him met, and they were working on some kind of a mining thing. And so we got married in 1895. My life was filled with moving around. So I have been in multiple states. When we were at the mining camps, it got harder and harder, and we were not always having an easy time financially. He was gone many of the times. I was taking care of these kids. But that didn't mean I wasn't self-sufficient. Eventually, he died of Spanish flu. I had 7 kids and one on the way, which came 3 months after he died. I lived at that time in Auburn, California. The senator's house had me wash and iron clothes, and that's what I did, and I did that for the judge. The other thing that they had me do was I actually cooked and served during these big banquets at the U.S. senators. I got paid, not necessarily a lot, but enough. We didn't own our house, it was rented. But a few years later, just before the war, my oldest son bought me and my children a house in Hangtown. It's now called Placerville, California. I never drove. I never had a car. People had to drive me around. I worked at the polls for years and years because I thought it was important. I didn't get to vote until 1920. Some women say, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter. Darn it, it matters. It matters no matter what the issue is. I think the younger women take this totally for granted. They forget that there were women that were beat up trying to make sure that people heard that they should get to vote. People didn't take them seriously because women weren't smart enough, and I'm putting quotes around that. Women can't make decisions. All of these excuses, and yet women still pushed for this. I had a few women role models. First of all, I can't not eliminate Laura Allen Steele, my adopted mother. She raised me, she set me in a direction to understand that I have the ability to do what I need to do. Eleanor Roosevelt. Now, I realize that was later, but she was such an important role model in how to think about the family and women's issues. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, I think, was an important role model for me. I liked the idea she was an abolitionist. Everyone is equal, and I think that was an important thing to be aware of. When I grew up, women didn't have a choice, and they cared about themselves and others, but they did not have a choice. All these decisions, if they're made by men, they don't think about women's issues. I hope now when the election is coming up, people say, yes, take a stand. Women go out and vote and step up to run.